Okay, we will now call the November 15th, 2021 Board of Trustees regular meeting to order. Entertain a motion for the adoption.
So moved.
Entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda and approval of consent agenda item moved by Ms. Coates,
Second.
second by Ms. Green. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Hi, this is Courtney.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Waters.
And it will not let me log in here.
Okay, how do you vote in this, Dr. Frazier?
Yes.
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 Yes. Are we missing anybody else? Kate, you're voting electronic?
I did. I voted on board docs.
Good. All right. Okay, that motion passes. My eyes are a little foggy over here. All right, entertain a motion as we enter into the election, a motion for nomination for chair.
I've got a motion, Reverend Mack.
All right, Ms.
I would
Darby,
like to nominate Reverend Eric Mack for board chair.
moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Green. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. That's that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Are you in, Dr. Frazier?
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Entertain a motion for the election of vice chair.
I have a motion, Reverend Mack.
Okay, Ms. Darby.
I'd like to move to nominate Courtney Waters for board vice chair.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Green. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. We ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item 1E is the appointment of the Audit and Finance Committee Chair. Make a recommendation of the board chair to name Ms. Joyce Green as Audit and Finance Committee Chair.
Second that.
Reverend Mack, I thought that was an appointment, not an election.
Well, it's listed, it
It's-
is an appointment, but it's listed here as an action item. Or
The
motion.
board policy says subject to board approval. So I
Ah.
think Reverend Mack makes the recommendation and the board votes it up or down.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by. No, moved by- Who seconded? Ms.
I
Darby.
really second it because you made the motion, but
yeah.
it can be me and Courtney if you want.
Okay. By Ms. Darby and by Ms. Waters. Are there any questions? Hearing none, message, please cast your vote.
Aye.
Waters voted aye. Okay. All right, that motion passes. Item 1E is approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Green. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Ms. Waters, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that motion passes. We entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Darby. Those of you that's not a part of the executive session, we ask that you please excuse yourself at this time. You'll be notified when to return back to the room. We're going to reconvene back into open session. That's the moment for silence. Ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 4A, is there a motion?
Move to approve
I'd
the
like,
recommendation from constituent District 2.
Moved by,
approve.
second by Ms. Hederick. Are there any questions?
Reverend Mack, can we specifically say Diana Browder in the motion?
Okay,
If that's okay with Cindy and Lauren?
yep, all right.
I thought we
Ms.
had to wait
Coates
until it was
acknowledged.
approved.
Oh,
Dwayne,
Okay, all right.
Eric,
We were just.
Dwayne's trying to say something.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
yeah. So what, Ms. Coates, I'm sorry, Ms. Darby, the motion will stand as is, and once it's approved, we'll make that announcement.
okay.
All right. Is there any questions? Hearing none, ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Voted aye.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, that motion passes. Item 4B, foreign exchange student request.
Move
I'd like to make a motion to allow the student to attend Beckham for the spring 22 semester.
Is that your motion? Is that,
That's fine.
yeah, are you seconding it?
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Voted aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item 4C, student placement appeal.
I'd like to make a motion that we overturn the constituent board's decision and place the student at Daniel Jenkins Academy.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Coates. Are there any questions? Dr. French?
Would you accept a friendly amendment to include IEP review along with other wraparound services?
Is that given when they show up, Dr. Postal?
Yeah, they,
Dr. Postway, is that a part of the process already established?
Yes, sir, it would have to be because it's a change in placement of a special needs student. It doesn't hurt to include it in the motion, but it is required by law.
Okay,
Oh, as long as it's required, that's fine.
yep. All right, motion will stand as is. Are there any further questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Voted aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item 4D, personnel contractual matters.
I move to approve the forwarding of 7 formal complaints to the South Carolina Department of Education related to the attached contract teachers.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Green. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote. Ms. Waters, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item 4E was just for information. At this time, now 5A, special recognition.
Good evening, Chairman Mack, Vice Chair Waters, Board of Trustees members, and Dr. Drita Postawait, our Superintendent. This evening for special recognition, we have 3 honorees. First, we are excited and proud to honor North Charleston Elementary and Ladson Elementary, who were both recognized for their work in community engagement in this year's National Network of Partnership Schools Promising Partnership Practices Handbook. The National Network of Partnership Schools Handbook is a collection of programs, events, and initiatives from schools across the country and the world. 40 entries from 14 districts in 9 different states, as well as schools from Ireland and Scotland, are in this year's edition. The publication provides schools with quality examples of community engagement from schools, which create better educational atmospheres and opportunities for students and their families. CCSD has been part of the National Network of Partnership Schools since 2017. Tonight, from North Charleston Elementary, we have with us Principal Melissa Brubaker, Family Service Advocate Tyra Johnson, PE instructor Sylvia Weeks, and the Gibson family with students Dominique and Caden. From Ladson Elementary, with us this evening, we have Assistant Principal Monica Gall and Family Service Advocate Vanessa Smith, and we have Lieutenant James from the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. North Charleston Elementary is featured on the 2021 Handbook cover, and they were also actually the first school from CCSD to be featured in this handbook last year as well. The Dolphins earned recognition for their participation and engagement surrounding Read Bowl 2021, and that's an initiative encouraging students and their families to read together. One team from NCES actually won the state title for their level, and that was kindergarten through 2nd grade. The school ended up logging a combined, get this, 51,678 minutes of reading. The Gibson family, who is here, participated in the Read Bowl, and they are actually in that feature photo on this year's handbook cover. Ladson Elementary's Reading Patrol was also recognized in this year's handbook. The school's program encouraged reading at home, but with officers and staff from Charleston County Sheriff's Office. In the past, the program involved deputies reading to children in the school and encouraging them to read for fun at home. Obviously, COVID-19 changed that this year, but Sergeant Kathleen McCullough McLean, the school's resource officer for Ladson Elementary, organized an effort to film deputies reading separate pages of a book called The Biggest Snowman Ever. The resulting video, produced by the CCSO Public Information Office, was shared with children and parents at the start of the winter break in December. The school also gave copies of the book to children so they could read at home and read along as well. Students' parents later accessed the program through at-home surveys, or they assessed it, I should say. And the program not only increased students' enthusiasm for reading, but built positive relationships with local law enforcement agencies. So please join me in congratulating both North Charleston Elementary and Ladson Elementary on this tremendous recognition and outstanding efforts in engaging their families and communities. Next, we'd like to recognize Wando senior Isabelle Turner, who not only received the top score of a 5 on the College Board Advanced Placement Research exam, but was also one of just 375 students in the world to earn every point possible, receiving the maximum score on each portion of the exam. I believe via Zoom, we have both Isabelle and Wando Principal Dr. Sherry Eppelsheimer joining us.
Wow.
So they're on there. We just want read a little bit more about this. The AP Capstone is a diploma program that is based on a 2-year-long two-year-long AP courses, AP Seminar and AP Research. Rather than teaching subject-specific content, these courses develop student skills in research, analysis, evidence-based arguments, collaboration, writing, and presenting. We applaud Isabelle's hard work and her AP Capstone teachers, Mrs. Deanna Sachs and Mrs. Hannah Bersini, for engaging students and enabling them to excel in college-level courses. Please join me in congratulating Isabelle on this amazing accomplishment. Ms. Turner, we have this here for you. We'll make sure that gets to you at Wando. That concludes special recognition for this evening.
Thank you. Congratulations again to all of our honorees and the job well done that they have exhibited in those particular areas. At this time now, we will have, there are no in-person public comments that have been signed up to speak tonight. However, there have been submitted public comments via online. They're there for your information, but just to recap a few things, they're in reference to e-learning days, also in reference to the reconsideration of mask mandate, and also no vaccine mandate for staff was the content of those comments that have been submitted online. But each board member does or should have a copy of all of those comments via email in their inbox for review. At this time now, we'll have a superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I will be pretty brief this evening. I'd like to thank Ms. Dangerfield for advancing the slides for us, coming out from her behind the desk on her day job to help with all the technology here at the board meeting. So the first slide actually shows the disease activity by county. We continue to decline in incidents. Last week, we were at 173 per 100,000. We're down to 151 per 100,000. And we've dropped 1/10 of a percentage point in percent positive, down to 3.7%. On the next slide, we look at the COVID cases by week for students and staff. Students and staff combined last week equaled 31 positive cases out of about 50,000 or a few more individuals who are working in our schools. This, of course, does not include charter schools, but it includes our employees and the students who attend non-charter public schools in Charleston County. On the following slide, we're just reminding everyone that Charleston County continually updates our Safe Schools Return Plan. Ours is a live document that is revised in real time anytime a change in protocol is made. But it's displayed on our website. It's easy to find. By regulation, it has to be officially updated twice a year. You have to give the public an opportunity to comment. So the public comments are due by December 6th. Should anyone want to take a look and provide comments, the online address is there. Next, we just want to quickly focus on closing the readiness gap. Again, I'm not getting into any lengthy presentation tonight. I want to show a slide that repeat a slide that we showed last week. The next slide is what we're euphemistically calling the bingo card as we work on major pieces of the strategy to address the priority of improving life options for children of color in poverty. We know that the middle column contains the number one most important ingredient. Test after test, time after time, researchers have proven that the most effective way to help children is to ensure that children, particularly those who are depending on public schools to open doors of opportunity for them, have an effective teacher. So the effective teachers, well supported in the classroom, is the number one commodity we could provide for children, a talent stream we could provide for children. And of course, teachers will work in conditions, even though the conditions are challenging, they love to work for effective leaders. So the principle is behind the teacher. Of course, home background and environment impacts student learning more than any other factor, but inside the schools are the factors we control. The teacher is the most powerful factor. Next in line is the effectiveness of a leader in the building. So that's the column we want to focus on the most. As we think about the two academic areas there, mathematics and language arts, we know that those don't stand in isolation of all the other areas of learning cognitively for children. And then on the right-hand side of talent, we want to think about student well-being, the extent to which students feel as though they belong, they're welcomed, they're supported in school, and parent satisfaction. So as we think about what actually belongs in each of those boxes, that the staff and others have had opportunity to give input. We'll get this refined before we move forward, but in the final analysis, a chart something like this is what we will look at as Mr. Hamer and the team with whom he is working take a look at the community proposals for consideration of expenditure of ESSER funds. And we will build our own district strategy for investments around the kinds of strategic components that are listed on this page. And then the final slide I wanted to discuss with you very briefly tonight is the progress that's been made in addressing the educator concerns that were expressed recently here and throughout the state and country. If we watch what's happening everywhere, this is a very, very challenging time for everyone who's serving the public, but particularly for teachers. Ms. Belcher and her team have made a lot of progress in terms of inadequate time to complete work. You have tonight recommended calendar revision, which will provide teachers some additional planning time, and it relocates the e-learning days that we didn't have to use this fall because we didn't miss any school due to inclement weather. The difficulty in implementing a new curriculum is a concern that's under review. Ms. Belcher mentions them there, the work that the acceleration team is doing. As well, the Teachers of the Year meet this week, and they've identified 4 major areas: planning time, discipline, required tests, and curriculum as the areas of focus they will discuss. Classroom disruptions and discipline issues, counselors, psychologists, social workers, and the Department of Alternative Program is working to add mental health supports for students. And we want to get feedback from teachers. We know we have some schools where there's a disconnect, where teachers feel as though students are too disruptive in their classrooms. And we are working hard not to put those students outside of learning environment. So it requires, as the board discussed earlier, taking a look at the various alternatives and determining what's working, what may need to be modified or expanded. The additional assessments, Ms. Belcher has arranged to stop the requiring benchmark assessments in the elementary school. The benchmarks were the only new assessment that CCSD added this year, but we didn't realize as we added it that the state was going to add some assessments. So we are assessing too much. That will definitely need to be reviewed and pared back. There are discussions at the State Department and in the Education Oversight Committee. This is the year of the cyclical review of the accountability system, which occurs once every 5 years. So there are lots of conversations about what kinds of assessments are most appropriate for public policymakers and most helpful for educators, students, and their parents. The final thing I would mention is under review are the Safe Schools training videos, which constitute many hours of work. So we'll be trying to pare down what is required. And most of the videos are purchased from other providers and contain a lot of information that isn't essential for classroom teachers and other staff to know. So Ms. Pinckney Reese and staff are working to pare down the required videos that will take effect for this coming school year. So that concludes the superintendent's report for tonight, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is there any questions for Dr. Postlewaite? Ms. Coates?
So what are the only assessments being done in elementary school? Are there any, or does this eliminate all of them?
It certainly doesn't eliminate all of them. If I said that, I misspoke. Ms. Belcher, you want to name a few?
There are a few, because that's the time when we do a lot of screening that's required by the state to find things like dyslexia. So we have the FAST Bridge. We also, under the state, given the gap in the state test, we're now administering MAP at beginning in the 1st grade. And then there are additional curricular assessments and assessments tied to things like iReady, which is the adaptive digital technology use. So part of the challenge is that there are different assessments for different purposes. And one assessment unfortunately doesn't meet all the different purposes, which is why there's so many. And particularly at the beginning of the year, it felt like a lot of assessments because it was on kids.
Well, and I didn't want the perception to be that they're removed or that there were only one or two. There's tons and we've only removed one.
That's right. That's the only one we had added this year.
Okay, Ms. Waters? Ms. Waters?
Hi, can you all hear me?
Can hear you now.
Yes. Is there, Dr. Postlewaite, is there going to be an opportunity for school boards to be heard on the decisions during this review process at the EOC?
The Education Oversight Committee usually has an opportunity for public input. I don't know that they specifically ask boards. That's something we could inquire about.
Or do they ask districts?
Not specifically, usually. They had a meeting, I'm thinking in September, that was over in the Greenville area, Pickens area, excuse me. And the public was invited to attend on a Sunday afternoon. I drove for that meeting and there will be opportunities for input, but one has to avail oneself of the opportunities. So if that's something you'd like us to get organized to do and try to coordinate something like that with the Education Oversight Committee, I feel fairly certain they would be open to that sort of discourse.
Okay, I just thought it might be good, if we get clear on sort of a unified position on it to at least try to advocate being one of the larger school districts. I think it's important because we serve a lot of kids and a lot of families that are concerned about testing, burnout, and just the whole situation of over testing.
Thank you. I will check on the schedule for public feedback on the cyclical review of the accountability system.
Thank you.
Dr. French?
Yes, I have two questions. One is about the discipline issues. My impression from some of the feedback that we had gotten from the teachers, Charleston Teacher Association, is that teachers aren't feeling that like even level 1 offenses are being addressed consistently. And so that's where it starts, is like, these aren't usually things that take kids out of the classroom, but do we need to look into whether our principals and their admins are being consistent about applying the rules so that the kids understand that they do need to behave according to the code of conduct?
I will tell you, Ms. Belcher may also want to say something. When we began digging into the more detailed data, we realized that the feedback varies from school to school. And we've already, through Dr. Williams and Ms. Simmons and other district leaders, begun to address some of the issues that appeared prevalent in some schools, but not others, often with new principals.
Okay. Then my second question is, given that I assume that you'll start planning the academic calendar for next year in the coming months, I would like to see some creative ways to provide more protected time for teachers with planning. And I mean, I've been brainstorming myself. I don't know if this is a possibility, but to even have a type of day, either every other week or more often, where kids are at school during the school day, going to clubs that teachers are not responsible for. So teachers can focus on planning, but the kids are still getting some value out of that time. Maybe it's a special interest club. And I know there's a lot of logistics involved with having staff and having possibly outside community partners involved with that sort of thing. But just the idea that you would have that protected time for teachers and also keep the kids at the school the whole day.
Okay, Dr. Frazier?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment about the progressive discipline plan. and whether we will reevaluate that plan so that it won't be a one-size-fit-all kind of system for all of our schools.
The plan is reevaluated annually, and there is a committee of representatives that works on the plan. Ms. Belcher, do you want to say a little bit more about that?
That's the headline, is that it's annually reevaluated, and that will come up. We're also planning to come to the board in December with an update on some of the discipline data and also just general mental wellness. While I think the good news, and Dr. Pulsford has said this before, we actually are seeing fewer discipline incidents this year in both the elementary school and middle school and high school than we did the same quarter prior to the pandemic. The issue is the severity of the issues in terms of certain behaviors and some signals that of things like uptick in suicide alerts and other things like that. So mental health and the pressure and the trauma of the last 18 months, that is what we believe is playing out. And frankly, we also believe that the adults, as you can see from the teacher survey, are tired, and their own patients and places are at a point where we all need some help. So we're going to ask the board for additional supports.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Dr. Pulsway, for
Thank you.
your report. Item 8A is the adjustment to the 2021-2022 academic calendar. Ms. Belcher, you want to give us an overview for?
I'm going to defer to Miss Woody, who's on the video.
Okay. All right, Ms. Woody.
Good evening. So the overview is that based on teacher feedback, and I'd say educators in general feedback, not just our teachers, in multiple ways, we were looking for that protected planning or work time that Dr. French just mentioned, and could we make that possible on this calendar, even as we think about that starting for next year too? So because we did not have inclement weather, we were fortunate again this year not to have to use our e-learning days next week at the beginning of the fall break. And so since the state gives us 5 e-learning days that we could use, we looked at a plan for regrouping the e-learning days and using them in second semester. So the proposed dates are February 4th. We have the next round of map data would be available then, and that might be something that folks could use time to evaluate and think about their teaching implications. March 11th March is a really long month without a whole lot of time, and there is a lot of grading, and there is other things that happen during that month. And so adding an e-learning day on March 11th, and then April 29th is right before the state testing windows open in May. And so using that day to regroup, be ready for that, plan some reteaching possibilities. So those are the 3 dates and the reasons that we picked those. We also suggested that there be no formalized PD added on those, because then that just encumbers again the time instead of letting teachers have that for planning or collaborating.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Move to approve the modified calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Dr. French and seconded by severals. Ms. Hederick, Ms. Waters, and Ms. Darby, you can pick which one. Any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item 9A. Is there a motion or discussion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the first reading of policy IHBHE Schools of Innovation and exhibit IHBHE-E with the understanding that Administrative Rule IHBH-AR is under development and will come back to the ad hoc committee for review and recommendation to the board.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Hedrick. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Motion passes. Item 10A, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve funding to install infrastructure and connect donated washers and dryers at the schools as listed, North Charleston Elementary, E.B. Ellington, and North Charleston High. And that for future installations, as long as it doesn't exceed $25,000, that staff can take those actions.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Hedrick and Ms. Waters. Are there any questions?
So do we need to change the policy? I know we had discussed this not in finance. I thought it might have been looked at since then. I just want to make sure that they don't have to come to us for that funding, but I don't know if it's still in the policy.
I'm not sure.
So I am not sure. That's something we'll have to review to pull that
Line the
policy.
two.
And look at, but right now this gives staff the opportunity to move forward and then also where the cost is estimated to be more than 25,000 per school, it still will give them the opportunity to move forward without having to come back before the board.
Right. Let's just make sure we align the policy so it doesn't require them to come to the board.
Right. Dr. French?
Yeah, I was reading the policy too, and I felt like it needed to be clarified because
Okay.
I wasn't clear that this really needed to come to us. The donations are being received and it's a one-time expense, not a continuing expense. Per school, it's a one-time expense to install
It's
these
an ongoing
dishwashers.
expense for the utility.
But if you're talking about a long-term arrangement with these specific donors, then maybe it is a continuing expense. These are such small amounts of money, and I feel frustrated that North Charleston Elementary has been waiting for months for their washer and dryer to be installed. And
So-
there's no reason for that.
We changed the policy.
So
So I don't
again,
think that that's a policy issue. It's $9,000. I'm sure that could have been approved. And they could have come to us months ago if it was a policy issue.
So here again, this clears up exactly what you were just explaining. And this motion will give staff the ability to be able to move forward without any further delay as we move forward. However, we can also make sure that the policies align with the motion that we're indicating here today. But I'm sure that nothing has been delayed as far as student concern is in reference to a matter such as this. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any further questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Okay, that motion passes. Item 2B.
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve the reallocation of funds as described in the attachment.
Okay.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Ms. Hedrick. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. That motion passes. Item 10C.
Mr. Chair, I offer a motion to decline participation in the extension of the Norzette Community Redevelopment Project Area Tax Increment District. better
Second,
known As TIP.
second.
Moved by Ms. Green, second by Dr. French. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. That motion passes. Item 10D is the fixed cost of ownership for FY 21 year-end project recap. As for information, was there any questions from anyone in reference to item 10D? Also, item 10E is the annual energy program update that was included in your packet. Are there any questions from any of the board members? Ms. Green.
I don't have a question, but just want to relay congratulations to those schools that are participating in the energy program, because I think it's pretty awesome what they've done. So,
Thank you for pointing that out. Item 10F is the capital projects report, as was included in your packet for information. Are there any questions from the board members in reference to the capital projects report?
I don't know.
Dr. Frazier?
Yeah, and I guess this question is for Mr. Rory. In your report, it said something about upgrades to athletics. And of course, I always want to ask you about my District 23, our District 23 project, and how far along are we moving in that direction? Because I noticed in the report, it says that you're doing athletic upgrades to most of the schools.
So Dr. Frazier, if you're talking specifically about the weight room addition to
Yes, that was
weight
the
room
one.
addition to Baptist Hill, that project is still planned to be completed at the end of this summer of 2022.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item 10G is the monthly financial report that was included in your packet. Is there any questions from the board members in reference to that item? Hearing none, and item 11A is a request from Dr. Frazier to attend the National School Board Association Convention that's being held in Washington, DC on January 23rd through the 25th.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Ms. Hederick,
Second,
second by Dr. French. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we ask that you please cast your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Waters voted aye. Okay, that item passes. Item 11B is the board development proposal that we received from AJ Craybill, the Council of Great City Schools. We want to take a time to have a discussion in reference to a plan that was laid out by Mr. Craybill that's with training with the board as a whole, and want to see your thoughts, or to hear your thoughts, I should say, for us to move forward with this particular plan. Please please raise your hand to be recognized if you have a question. Ms. Hedrick.
I don't have a question. I just think we should move forward with this.
is there something different here than, because I just couldn't remember, than.
I don't
what we
believe
talked
so.
about
This
earlier?
is, no.
It's the
So
same
it's the
time.
Delays, I'm just saying we need to
Mhm.
jump on it.
Because I thought that there was some discussion about we may not be able to accomplish everything in the original plan, so that we were going to maybe pick and choose some things, or am I wrong?
So the timeline will definitely have to be modified because there were some items that was started back in July. It was modified again in August, September, October. We're in November now. So as we move forward, we will definitely have to ask for modification to this timeline. Not only that, we will definitely need someone to be a champion to lead this effort. So we will definitely need to identify someone that will be willing to work this project and to be a point of contact with this particular item. Now, in conjunction with the individual being the point of contact, of course, I will be involved, but however, we will need someone to champion this and leading this effort.
Reverend Mack, I think that, well, one, I know that Ms. Herder and I had a conversation and would both be happy to jump in there.
Okay.
Would it make sense for the person or people doing that for the first assignment to be to sort of work out what can be done? I don't know if it has to be some sort of committee, but I think we need to come back with a recommendation fairly soon about which parts of the program we're going to be able to complete.
Okay, so am I hearing you correct? You and Ms. Hederick will be willing to lead this effort and report back to the board modified timeline discussions with Mr. Craybill?
That's what I'm saying. Ms. Herder and I did not talk about the report back piece, so I'll allow her to speak up on that rather than speak for her.
I'm definitely willing to be included.
Okay, all right. Dr. French?
I'm also happy to be included. I have been participating in the CGCS calls, and so I've heard a lot about what other districts are doing with these governance trainings and implementations. So I don't know if that'll be helpful or not in helping to lead with this, but I'm happy to step up if asked.
Okay. All right. So since this is not a ad hoc appointment on the actual calendar, but just a discussion. So for right now, normally ad hoc appointment is consistent of 3 individuals. Since Ms. Hederick and Ms. Waters is willing to head it up right now, we'll start with that and get a report back, and then we'll move from there. I'm sure there's going to be quite more involvement within this piece as we move forward. So in the interim, what we'll do is we'll establish a email with Dr. Postlewaite with Mr. Craybill to entertain a discussion of how we move forward with this timeline modification. All right, item 12A was on the consent agenda item that was approved at the beginning of the meeting. Item 13A, we will have our committee of the whole and our regular board meeting, one meeting in December, on December 13th. There will be a 1-hour workshop prior to that committee of the whole meeting, so be prepared for that as we present that. And then on January 10th, will be the committee of the whole meeting, and then January 24th will be the regular board meeting as scheduled and has already been approved. Entertain a motion for adjournment. This meeting is now officially adjourned.
You are so